A send-off 2 months in the making. A woman is finally released from the hospital after battling COVID-19. I'm Stephanie Wade with that special story you'll only see here on RTV6.
Homeowners are concerned about a 5G rollout coming to their neighborhood. Call 6 Investigates is finding out why they're upset and what you can do if you're in the same situation.
I can't imagine families coming in this weekend and discovering it.
A family reaches out to RTV6 for help, calling the condition of one central Indiana cemetery heartbreaking.
This is RTV6 News at 5, working for you.
Good evening. I'm Amanda Starantino at the RTV6 studios in downtown Indianapolis.
And I'm Mark Mullins at my remote studio at home. Tonight, we see the remarkable moments as one woman leaves the hospital for the first time in months after battling COVID-19.
RTV6's Stephanie Wade shares her emotional story, thanking the healthcare workers for saving her life.
This is the day 47-year-old Arlonda Johnson Dickerson has been dreaming about. For nearly 2 months, she has sat in this hospital fighting for her life. But today, she gets to say she won. A send-off 2 months in the making. This is the moment Arlonda's family has been waiting for. The day she finally gets to go home. Admitted to Seton St. Vincent Hospital on March 31st, she spent 35 days on a ventilator. Dr. Richard Cardillo says the COVID patients who need a ventilator develop an inflammatory condition in the lung. They don't have the oxygen or energy to breathe on their own. They use physical, occupational, and respiratory therapy in the meantime, but it's mostly a waiting game. Arlonda is grateful for the nurses and doctors who saved her life.
When I was feeling down and feeling bad, she was always encouraging and telling me that I was doing good and that I had got further than a lot of people.
Saying her final farewell as she leaves the hospital.
I want to thank all of you all, everyone who helped take care of me, even in the beginning through my so-called crazy moments up until the very end. I really appreciate everything you all have done for me.
Stephanie Wade, RTV6.
That's so good to see. And every day we check in on the numbers for you on COVID-19 cases, testing, and how the state is handling all of this.
Overall, after seeing a spike, daily reports of COVID-19 deaths have been on the decline this week based on the last several days' reports.
And today's new numbers showed 57 new reported deaths in the last month. There was a jump in deaths last Thursday, but since then we have seen fewer and fewer deaths each day from COVID-19. The state usually releases the previous day's reports each day at noon.
As for testing, Indiana continues to try to screen out possible cases every day. Statewide, nearly 190,000 people have been tested. Of those, just a little more than 15% of those tested have been positive for the virus. Today's report showed an increase of 481 positive cases from yesterday's report.
And the state reports that intensive care beds and ventilator capacity remain steady. Over 41% of ICU beds and more than 80% of ventilators were available as of today. The majority of ICU beds and ventilators in use right now are for non-COVID patients.
Starting Friday, dining out in Marion County will be a bit different than it ever has been before. Restaurants will now provide outdoor seating as a way to adapt. RTV6's Troy Washington is working for you to explain how the city is trying to help businesses change things up and find a new normal.
Massachusetts Avenue is expected to come to life again this weekend. That's right, entertainment districts around the town will reopen at half capacity.
We were able to get the Paycheck Protection Plan loan, and with that loan we've been able to maintain our staff. We didn't have to furlough them.
For downtown Ollie's, the timing couldn't appear better. They are ready to do what it takes to save the restaurant, even if that means moving dining outdoors and limiting gathering inside.
We're going to make sure that those tables are at least 6 feet apart and that at each table we have no more than 6 persons sitting at those tables.
People will only be allowed to use bathrooms one at a time, and high touch points will be disinfected often. This restaurant does have the space to offer outdoor seating, but they're worried about the weather holding up to welcome guests back.
If the weather is not accommodating for outdoor dining. We're not going to have a canopy. We're not going to be able to protect them or shelter them from the weather. So it's going to be somewhat iffy as to whether or not this outdoor seating is really going to help us.
Here's a plan they've already gotten approved by the Alcohol and Tobacco Commission. The overall changes will come with road closures and decreased parking too.
Actually going to use a private parking lot that we own just behind the restaurant for setting up outdoor tables.
Now they're just waiting on the city to approve. It should get the okay as long as the plan meets ADA and social distancing guidelines.
I am confident that in the end, we will find ourselves better positioned.
Parts of Massachusetts Avenue, Georgia Street, South Monument Circle, Illinois, and Broad Ripple Avenue will be closed to traffic to make space for struggling restaurants. Working for you downtown, I'm Troy Washington, RTV6.
Well, the city says it is doing all it can to make a smooth transition. The Indy Chamber will give money to businesses with fewer than 150 employees. Also, it's free to apply for a permit to expand to that outdoor seating. We've got all that information on our website when you read this story on theindychannel.com.
And while we know the plants must be loving this weather, we may have a change headed our way this week.
That's right. Storm Team 6 Chief Meteorologist Kevin Gregory joining us from his home studio tonight. Hey, Kevin.
And Mark and Amanda, it will be time to get back outside as we move toward the weekend. One of the changes you're alluding to, look at this, we're lowering the bar. Our rain chances decreasing, and they'll be fairly low starting tomorrow right on into Memorial Day weekend. Okay, 66 and cloudy now. There are some showers in the area. I'll find those for you. You see south and east of Indianapolis between Indy and Cincinnati. What's interesting, they're moving to the northwest. We're not used to that. All of this is circulating around low pressure, and any rain this evening will generally be on the light side. We'll talk about other changes that roll into central Indiana. It'll definitely change the way you dress by the weekend. Those details are coming up in just a few minutes.
And right now, homicide detectives with IMPD are investigating the city's third deadly shooting in 24 hours. This happened this afternoon in the 700 block of North Linwood Avenue. That is near East 10th and Emerson. One person was shot and killed, another person injured. We are still working to learn more info on what led up to this shooting.
New today, some of the people who traveled to Indianapolis to protest the recent police action shootings may face criminal charges. Today, in an interview with Metro Police Chief Randall Taylor, he was asked about threats being made against the police. The chief said a couple of people who don't live in Indianapolis will face legal trouble. The chief says that he's concerned with the number of threats being made against his officers, calling it way too high. He also says he fully understands the community's expression of frustration.
We're not out looking to file charges against protesters just because they may have a differing opinion or anything like that.
But just for
Now, IMPD has reported 26 threats made against officers since the shooting death of Dre John Reed.
New concerns tonight about 5G structures coming to Marion County neighborhoods. Over the past year, RTV6 has told you about wireless companies installing 5G structures like this one here in Hamilton County. Now, Call 6 Investigates is uncovering the rollout it's making its way into Indianapolis. Our Kara Kenny explains what you can do if you're concerned.
People who live here at North Willow Farms at 86 and Ditch Road love living here because of the green landscape and because all utilities are below ground, and they want to keep it that way. Nearly 400 families live in North Willow Farms, a neighborhood full of mature trees. A family saw this public notice in a newspaper saying Verizon wants to build a 47-foot tower in the middle of their neighborhood. The Homeowners Association president did some research and found it's part of Verizon's 5G rollout, and the wireless company wants to install other structures in their neighborhood. He's reached out to Verizon, the city, and state lawmakers to see if North Willow Farms can have a say and where those structures go.
I don't see how that can be a good thing. What's going to happen a few years down the road when 5G is now old technology and something new has come along? These are going to just litter.
We're going to watch them in hopes that they'll cooperate. And if they do, we may not need legislation. If they don't, it's another story.
We reached out to the city, who told us we are in the process of reviewing any pending applications in consultation with our council. And Verizon told us for several years we have been using small cells in cities across the country to add needed network capacity as cellular usage grows. They directed us to their website that says Verizon Wireless has already started to install small cells in central Indiana and will be over the next few years.
We reached out to the Indiana Utility Regulatory Commission, who told us when it comes to wireless providers, they have zero authority when it comes to the placement of transmitters and receivers. Reporting on the Northwest Side, Kara Kenny, RTV6.
And Senate Bill 213 passed the legislature in 2017 and authorized this massive rollout of small cell wireless structures all over the state. If you are concerned, your best option is to contact your state lawmakers and the wireless company. If you would like to see if a 5G structure is proposed for your neighborhood, you can go to this story on the RTV6 app and at theindychannel.com. Still ahead on RTV6, the family struggles to get answers on the condition of a cemetery. So RTV6 is getting accountability for a place that's supposed to be sacred. Plus, personal protective equipment is still in high demand. We take you inside one local effort in healthcare to safely stretch the utility for people on the front lines.
In Brownsburg.
A local family is reaching out to RTV6 for help, saying the condition of a Boone County cemetery is unacceptable. They say they're having a hard time finding out if or when repairs will be made.
Working for you, Megan Sanctorum found out what changes some families want to see and how this isn't the first time families have had issues there.
This is what part of Lincoln Memory Gardens looks like right now. Families finding some headstones out of the ground, other stones sinking into it.
Some of the stones had fallen right down in the grave, and some of the stones are buried. They've been driven over.
Wood boards cover several grave sites, and the land is uneven.
I've never seen a cemetery in this condition.
Kathleen Haddock tells us she spends a lot of time in cemeteries. She loves studying genealogy, and she came here over the weekend to bring flowers to her father-in-law's grave. She says she was not prepared to see the land like this, especially ahead of Memorial Day weekend.
My fear is that families will come this weekend and they'll stumble upon this. They could have traveled 100 miles for the day to come and find a family member, and then to walk up and find that.
She says she tried to contact management but hasn't had any luck.
I really think there's something major wrong, and I think that families should be contacted.
So we reached out to the management company for answers. They tell us they are aware that several areas of this cemetery need work. They say they've had a lot of burials recently due to the pandemic, and rain has caused some flooding. We've learned new staff members have been hired, and the manager says he hopes to have repairs done before the weekend. Something important to Haddock and other families with loved ones buried here.
To hopefully save someone's heart from being broken.
We will continue to follow this story and make sure repairs are made. Working for you, Megan Sanctorum, RTV6.
Well, this is not the first time we've reported on issues at Lincoln Memory Gardens. In 2018, a family found their loved one had been buried in the wrong plot. 10 years before that, the cemetery operator there pleaded guilty to theft and fraud. He was accused of misusing millions of dollars from this and other Indiana cemeteries.
Well, let's talk about the changes on the horizon. There are several I think you'll be excited about. Some sunshine will get back into the picture, warmer temperatures and lower rain chances. A win-win-win, I think. Temperatures in the 60s, you're comfortable, you're used to that. They're well below average, but I want to show you where the warmer temperatures will come from. Way out to the west, they sit out in the Central Plains. For us right now, we're still within the circle of cloud cover and showers associated with the rainmaker, low pressure down in Tennessee and Kentucky. Look at North Dakota, Valentine, Nebraska, 78 degrees. Finally, some warmer temperatures will work their way in here. Still cool. We've got to be patient. Still tomorrow and Thursday, but then a noticeable change for Thursday, and at some point over the weekend, you might say, it's warm out here. Temperatures will be back into the mid-80s, and that will last through Memorial Day. Temperature comes up, rain chances go down. Now, notice they come down. They're not gone. We'll have a daily chance for some showers and thunderstorms, but don't change any of your plans. These likely to develop during the heat of the day, in the afternoon hours and early evening. There's some very light rain showers, and again, coming from the east or southeast back into Indianapolis and the rest of central Indiana, all rotating around low pressure to our south. A little heavier pocket of rain just to the north of Crawfordsville and southwest of Lafayette, but no torrential rain expected. Say hello to Buzz. Brandon Patrick sent this picture in. If you're walking the dog this evening, you've got these light showers and sprinkles, and you'll have 4 paws to clean off, towel off. I'm sure you'll be happy when we finally dry out enough that there's no mud around when you bring your dog back in. 7 o'clock tonight to 11, you'll see the showers come in from the Buckeye State into Indiana, generally thinning out, nothing real heavy, mostly cloudy skies in the morning tomorrow. We'll start in the 50s. We'll stay in the 60s. So another cool day, but our rain chances, as you can see, are minimal through the day tomorrow. 7-day forecast. Look on the right side of your screen. That's where you'll find the warmth. 4 out of the 7 days, 80 degrees or above. We just have to get there. The chance for thunderstorms comes up 30, maybe 40% as we get to Saturday, Sunday, and Memorial Day. But notice those temperatures well above average for this time of year. 85 degrees with a little humidity. That is some summer warmth. Enjoy that.
Thank you, Kevin. Right now, a local healthcare system is working to make sure their personal protective equipment lasts as long as possible. Our Alyssa Donovan has details on a disinfection process created by staff at IU Health.
Well, IU Health has plenty of N95 masks right now. They wanted to find a way to make sure that that personal protective equipment can last as long as possible, especially now that the stay-at-home orders are being lifted.
As the state is opening up, I mean, we're all kind of collectively holding our breath to see how having more people out and about, how that's going to impact our numbers at the hospital.
And having this disinfecting equipment in place is giving nurses and other hospital staff peace of mind in case there is another increase in COVID-19 patients.
IU Health has a very good supply of N95 masks, and this is just allowing us to be a little more proactive in making sure our supply is safeguarded.
These UV sterilizers were being used daily in patient rooms for cleaning. Dr. Nathan Alves, assistant professor of emergency medicine at IU School of Medicine, built this system with PVC pipes. Alves says hospitals across the country are using various techniques to disinfect and reprocess masks.
And it depends on where you are and what you have access to. We had access to these room sterilization towers already. They were purchased in response to some of the Ebola stuff a few years back.
The system is currently used to disinfect N95 masks for Methodist, Riley, and University hospitals.
So each nurse gets that and they put that up to their face and they form that to get a good fit. And she puts her name and the unit that she's working on. And then when she's done with that mask at the end of her shift, she puts it in a brown paper sack.
A sterile processing team then picks up the masks and puts them on the rack where the mask gets radiated for a half an hour. The mask is put in a white bag and returned to its unit. At this point, N95 masks are only being used for specific procedures, so the system is not used at capacity. If it was, it could sterilize 3,000 masks a day. The process allows one N95 mask to be worn up to 4 times by a hospital staff member. That's opposed to before, when they could only wear a mask once before it had to be thrown away. I'm Alyssa Donovan, RTV6.
Alyssa, thank you. This Takeout Tuesday, we're going to pitch a delicious local spot for your dinner that can satisfy your Windy City cravings. Inside Fat Dan's Deli, you'll not only find delicious wings in an old style, but also an array of Chicago sports memorabilia. Our own Todd Clausen recommends the smoked Reuben sandwich or the Fat Dan burger, but he says pretty much everything from the brisket to pulled pork is great. All Fat Dan's locations have carryout, and some are opening up dining as restrictions are lifted. Enjoy. Much more of RTV6 News at 5 right after this.
Weekdays from 4:30 to 7.
We're learning new information today about how leaders at the Johnson County Jail plan to better take on the fight against COVID-19 within its walls. Sheriff Dwayne Burgess tells RTV6 the facility will be installing hydroxyl generators in the jail. These machines are meant to help with air purification, but don't necessarily prevent COVID-19. The sheriff says 231 inmates have been tested for the coronavirus and 104 tested positive. The jail is reportedly operating under strict hygiene rules, including the wearing of masks and the monitoring of temperatures.
It's a struggle right now, and we're doing everything we can do to keep people safe. I mean, it's unfortunate. You know, the White House has it. They can kind of tell who comes into that building, but it's very rough for me to limit the people that come into my facility that's been arrested.
The State Department of Health has also visited the jail and educated the inmates on precautions they need to take against the spread of the coronavirus. County judges have also been looped in on the situation to help with the inmate population. And we will be back with more news and weather for you on the News at 6. Thanks for joining us for the News at 5.